Hey everyone, welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsha Rell, your virtual pep talk provider, inviting you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Now stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the pod today. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend and that your week is off to a good start. Philly clutched the Super Bowl. So that was a nice boost to the start of the week. You know, the streets here were crowded. There were fireworks and parade preparations are underway. And there's just a general buzz of excitement and happiness in the city right now that I have to admit is quite nice, especially with everything that has been going on. It's refreshing to have something positive to look forward to. And you know, the Super Bowl is really like the career pinnacle for a football player, right? Some will get there right away, while others will work years and years before achieving it. And yet still some will never get there at all, but they will still have successful careers. But no matter the outcome, what those top performers all have in common is really an excellent work ethic. You know, there are a lot of things that you can say about people who have a strong work ethic, but one thing that remains a common thread among folks with strong work ethics is the practice of consistency. Consistency is one of those things where it makes all the difference. You know, there are some people that right out the gate, they are just extremely talented. They don't have to put in any work for their talent to shine through. Dare I say, some of them may even coast through, but sometimes that talent is never seen. You know, it's not nurtured and refined, and you may see someone that is a lot less talented make it. You know, you ever wonder what the difference is there? In some instances, I would say that the answer is definitely consistency. One definition for consistency is the achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time. Now, when I first hear that definition, one thing that sticks out to me is the phrase does not vary greatly. And you may be like, you know, why would I want to spend my time doing something that isn't going to move the needle, except that the needle really is moving? You know, consistency is repetition, it's refining, and it's building a muscle. You ever wonder why that bakery that's been around for 40 years still has the best cakes? It's because they have been making the same cakes for 40 years. That consistency builds trust. It solidifies your reputation. It perfects the thing that you may not have been getting the attention for initially, but because you've done it 200 times, you get it right every time now. So having that natural talent is good, but coupled with consistency, you level up to great. So here are just a few things that you should remember about consistency. Number one is, if you want to improve your confidence, be consistent. Think about your first day at a new job. You may be fired up and excited and have that overarching feeling of, you know, I got this, you know, and so you may also have that confidence that you're able to do the job. But this is very different from the feeling of, I know the job. That takes a lot longer to get to, right? You have to get your reps in for that. And once you get it, you got it. And no one can tell you anything about how you do that job because you know it inside and out. That's what consistency brings. It's the practice that makes us as close to perfect as we're going to get on this side of heaven. But number two is that great things happen over time. Just like that 40-year-old bakery, you have the opportunity to perfect that which you do over and over again. In the moment, it doesn't feel like much. May not feel like you're making much progress at all. But over time, you find that you are able to sift the flour a little more evenly. You know, you fold the batter just so, and you learn not to overmix it. Your hand is a bit more steady when you add the decorations. But that comes from the mundane, you know, the repetition of consistency, of showing up each and every day and committing yourself to the craft until you become the master class. And number three is, you know, your consistency will yield compound results. And those compound results are what you want, right? Investopedia describes compounding as the process in which an asset's earnings from either capital gains or interest are reinvested to generate additional earnings over time. So when you are consistent, the effort you put in to show up each and every time will yield you more than what you put in. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a win to me, okay? And if you want to stop questioning yourself, get consistent. Because when you know that you don't have to second guess yourself. You're the expert. You don't have to wait on someone to tell you what or how to do it because your way is tried and true. You may decide to iterate on your proven method or just explore different ways to do something, but you are already starting from a positive because you are already doing it well. If you're not consistent, how will you know how far you can push yourself and how far you can go? We are all striving for full potential, not partial. Do not allow yourself to plateau. We're talking about mastering something so that we can move on to the next thing, right? Well, once you master it on that level, you don't stop there. If you're a writer and you've been cranking out 1,000 words per day, set small goals to get your weight up a little bit more. Maybe strive for 1,200 words, then maybe 1,500 words to increase your productivity. If you work out and you've been using 15-pound weights, challenge yourself to try 20 pounds. Your body is used to those 15-pound weights the same way your brain may not stretch ideas beyond 1,000 words. And there will be a max weight or a word count one day, but you can't reach your max without putting in the work, without trying. And so you got to do the grunt work to get there. But the top is not as fun if you start there. So appreciate that grunt work. I want to share a few tools, some basic tools that you can use for consistency, right? Let's start with, maybe a Hey Siri or a Hey Alexa. Now, I'm not really a techie person, even though the technology is all around us, and I actually work in tech. But in real life, in my own brain, I'm old school. I'm talking pen and paper for everything, budgets, thoughts, notes. But the bottom line is I need all of the reminders. And so tapping into assistants like a Siri or an Alexa to help remind me of time blocks or remember that I'm supposed to stop for that walk or work out are very beneficial. So use the tech to help you stay on track and lean into it to improve your consistency. Also, an accountability partner is always helpful. There is nothing like another human reminding you of what you said you were going to do to light a fire. It's like if you don't do it, you're now letting down two people instead of one. And you're holding a mirror up to yourself to face your shortcomings again, since you have to explain it to your accountability partner. So check in with someone. Report on whether you got in that 2-mile walk or those 1,000 words to encourage you to stay consistent. Similarly, you could try using a habit tracker. Something about having to skip over the boxes that you can't check, especially if you're using paper, it just isn't as aesthetically pleasing. The boxes are meant to be checked, right? So get a tracker and make it look pretty by checking those boxes. You can even make a tracker if you feel creative. And if you use Google, you can also try using Google Tasks to set reminders for yourself as well. I do that all the time during my workday, and it helps to keep me on track. Consistency is much more than just showing up and doing the same thing day after day. Consistency creates excellence. It allows people to build trust in you as well as allows you to build trust in yourself. It shows you what you're capable of, and it can lead to your success. You don't have to be the most naturally gifted or the one that initially gets all the accolades, because at the end of the day, it's about who is showing up every day, putting in the work, and delivering consistent results. I'll never forget back in college, my major was fashion design, and I was surrounded by some extremely talented designers. I had a portfolio class with some of the more gifted illustrators in my major, and illustration just wasn't my strength, especially compared to some of the other girls in my class. And it was the end of the term. Our final was due. We had to present our portfolios and go through critique. And to my surprise, I got an A. While some of those other girls in the class who were much more talented did not. Now, my professor called me out as an example, which I didn't love, but she made it a point to share with the class that yes, there are some super talented illustrators in here. Y'all know who y'all are. And you probably thought you were going to get an A based on your talent alone, but that wasn't the assignment. Yes, this is an illustration class, but we were required to consistently work on the portfolio over the course of the term, essentially, showing our work as we went along. And some of them didn't do that. But I did, along with some of the other less talented designers, and it worked out well for us, right? And so that was a lifelong lesson for me that being the best isn't solely based on your raw talent. It's the full package that is needed for success. Are you willing to put in the work? Because we're not out here trying to be one-hit wonders, right? We want to have some longevity and a catalog full of receipts. And your consistency is your version of receipts. Now, I'll share a few tools and articles in the show notes if you want more on the topic of consistency. And if you'd like me to dig into it some more here on the pod or any other subject, just drop me a line and let me know. But for now, I'm going to leave you with a quote from Maya Angelou, who said, "Consistency is the bedrock on which all things that make a person a success stand." Thank you for joining me today. If what you heard has been beneficial, please do not forget to rate, review, and share the pod. And if you've gotten this far, maybe you're willing to take another step and send a text to the pod, which you can find the link for in the show notes. But you can also feel free to engage on TikTok or IG or YouTube. All of those handles are in the show notes, but really you can just search up Defining Your Life and find me there. And I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.